Rob, we have a special episode today. This is our first time on Brink Space interviewing a third party that you and I do not know.
That's right. That's right. We did a couple months ago. We invited one of our coworkers, one of our colleagues, Dr. Dana Bortram, to the show. But this is the first time we invited someone else to the show, and it was it was a little bit. I was a little nervous when I talked to him.
Yeah, well, if you look at what you and I have accomplished in life, it in comparison to what what he's accomplished in life.
Yeah, isn't that an interesting thing? Because I did think about that too. It's sometimes you have this comparison. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah. He had overcome a little bit more than you and I have.
That's right. Our age. So we're talking. I don't think we've mentioned his name yet. We're talking about John Brink. Mm-hmm. And Dave, you actually encountered him first.
Yes. So
how did you find him?
On YouTube, I was just looking for, just things that I was interested in. And I don't know if it was ADHD. I don't know if it was public speaking. I don't know if it was neurodiversity, or I don't know what it was, but I found a video that he had put out, which I thought was very good. And then, so I started looking at John Brink, and he's got a podcast, and he's got over 450, I think 474 episodes on a podcast. He is an expert when it comes to everything. He's over, I think he's over 80 years old, and he is a bodybuilder, an entrepreneur with, I think, over 10 companies under his belt. Just an incredible life where he came from nothing to find incredible success. And it seems like every possible industry you could be involved in. So I wanted to meet him and learn how he did it.
Yeah. I think once you introduced me to him, what interested me most was, just that story. It's more, so he was born in the Netherlands in 1940. So mm-hmm. during World War II, mm-hmm. he ended up emigrating to Canada in his 20s with almost nothing. And you'll hear him talk about the amount of money that he had when we talk with him. Mm-hmm. But yeah, almost nothing. And just, it seems by sheer will and just force was mm-hmm. able to be extremely successful across multiple fronts in his life. So it was a pretty interesting story. And I was more curious to talk about him, just to hear like how he would describe the success that he's had and why. What about his kind of worldview and orientation toward life helped him get there. So,
mm-hmm. So after moving to Canada, within 10 years, he founds Brink Forest Products in 1975, which is now a North American leader in wood manufacturing. Mm-hmm. So an industry, it's just interesting to go from zero to incredible success. And then he founds many other businesses.
See, Dave, I thought, you were just looking on YouTube to get swole like you normally do, and you found his bodybuilding videos there. So well, that's what I would have guessed.
I was thinking, I don't feel fit enough as I'm talking to him, and I'm saying, how are you? Where does all the motivation come from? And it seemed like he talks about difficult things then leading to his success. So as it related to bodybuilding, he talked about having diverticulitis, goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, hey, you better clean up your diet. And then he cleans up his diet and his exercise to the point where people in the gym are like, you should start bodybuilding in your 80s. So he's 84 now and a bodybuilder. And so I don't know why he didn't look at my physique and say, hey, you got that something special. But
do you have that question a lot? I mean, do most people kind of wonder that about you? I mean, they certainly do when they look at my physique. So I wonder if you're similar there.
In a subtle way, they do it, Rob. No one says it directly, but you can just tell by the kind of the glint in their eye that they've noticed something.
So, so we actually pre-recorded our interview with him. So we are talking about it in the past tense because we have already chatted with John. And so before we talk about, or we share the interview, I was curious to hear what you thought, Dave, around like what did you take away from it? What was interesting about the conversation to you?
One of the things that stood out was it really does feel like, I mean, he went through, I mean, so many horrible experiences that would
Mhm.
I think cripple most people. But his response to in each of those events was to redouble his efforts and turn that challenge into move that challenge in a positive direction. And so I was just really impressed with the resiliency. And I asked him a couple times about like, where does this level of personal agency come from? Like, it
Mhm.
felt to me like he always believed he could do it. Like he trusted himself to do things, which
Yeah.
allowed him to push on rules, and he didn't back down when he hit roadblocks. I thought that was pretty remarkable.
Yeah. I
What about
I
you?
would I would agree. I would say just again through sheer will, and he talks a little bit about this, just how sometimes that desire to achieve and strong drive that potentially, at least in part due to his ADHD, caused him to want to continue to achieve.
Hmm.
So I think it's the achievement times the resilience, given a lot of the hurdles that he had to overcome, was the through line for me. Just listening to him talk about some of his experiences, um, that's what stayed most with me, and I think makes sense if you think about entrepreneurs that maybe you and I have worked with in our roles. There are some commonalities there of that just extreme focus
Hmm.
and drive to get what you want to get done, to achieve what you want to achieve, to achieve the goal that you have for yourself. Um, so I found that pretty interesting. I mean, he'll talk about, you know, I forget when, maybe 10 years ago, he was probably then at like 70 and started writing books.
Right.
I'm just thinking, yeah, what person starts their career as an author in their
Yeah.
late 60s or early 70s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he does not watch as much reality TV as I do.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
he's not, yeah, he's not watching, the whole series of Parks and Rec for the,
yeah.
25th time like I am.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So I think that's a good overview. I'm looking forward to everybody thinks. Let us know in the comments. And without further ado, here is the interview with John Brink.
enjoy it, everyone.
So I wanted to start by telling you just a little story about how we discovered you. I was looking at some kind of personal development podcasts or vlogs on YouTube, and I keep seeing the same guy over and over and over again. The number of videos that you've done that have been done about you and the range of content, I was overwhelmed from business to mental health. I mean, you are a bodybuilding, you are a productive man
Well, thank you. At 85.
at
At
85.
85. When did you get into the bodybuilding?
Good question, David. Is that it happened circumstantial? All those things happened because of something happened or something occurred. And in 2008, I had a case of diverticulitis. And so it breached. And so, as you guys well know, so that is very delicate. So that needs attention. There's all the toxins going through your body, attacking the other organs. So I had about 48 hours to get something done about it. So I somehow made it. I was in Victoria. I made it up to Prince George by air. I still don't know how I did it. Very, very painful. Came
Yeah.
to the hospital, to my doc. He said, get to the hospital. Went down there. They took 20 centimeters out of my colon. And when I
Jesus.
woke up the following morning and the doc was there, he said, you came this close.
Oh,
And,
wow.
and so then I knew I had to be more serious about two issues in particular. My wife is a vegetarian, and I was okay, but not as good as I could have been. And then the other one, I was somewhat like everybody else that, you know, at the end of the year, we say, going to do this, that, and the other thing. And I'm going to buy a membership to the gym.
Uh-huh.
And then after 2 weeks, I can find 100 reasons why I'm too busy to go to the gym. And I knew for me, I live by meetings. I had to get a trainer. I did. And after training for about 6 years, first I had to recover from my operation.
Sure.
In 2009. For 6 years, I trained. And then someday somebody came into the gym and say, "Hey, John, have you ever thought about competing?" I said, "Me? Yeah." And I thought, why not? And so then, you know, obviously I was already well into my 60s.
Yeah.
So I started working out, and then in 2017, 2018, I started competing, bodybuilding, physique. In Northern BC, came in second bodybuilder, third in physique, qualified me for the provincials, came in the same, then the nationals and the Arnolds. And then COVID came. And so today, again, I'm still competing. I'm still training. And this is one of the books that I just wrote. Is Living Young, Dying Old, and it's all about not about age but quality of life. So
Yeah.
this is me. So I'm again training now to go back to the Arnolds in 2026 when I'm 86.
Rob and I are both psychologists,
Right.
and when we look at your story, it is very clear that you are like, there is nobody, I can't imagine anybody being better at overcoming challenges, at
Right.
pursuing success, being resilient. So I want to spend some time talking about kind of how you think about that. So can we start by, in your mind, how do you define success?
Success to me is not about money. It's not about all the companies that I've started and been successful at. It's more being part of the community and pursuing things that mean a lot to me. Is working on young people in particular, you know, finding your passion, living the dream, sort of thing. That's how I grew up. And I wrote a book about that, finding your passion, living the dream.
Well, it does make me think a little bit, John, that, you know, you've had so many beats in your career, some shifts in your life. I wonder, has your definition of what success is changed over time? If you were to go back to 1975 when you started the business, would you have defined success the same way you do now?
No.
And why?
Likely I was. So the biggest challenge in my life was that, looking back, is that I had a challenge in, because of all the things, the difficulty in school, the other questions by others, and saying he is just a laborer, you know, and I'm proud of that today. All those things led me to say, who am I? Was my biggest question. Who am I? And I had to prove to me, not that I was better than, just as good as all the others. And in order to do that, I had to start with nothing when I went to Canada. And so when I came off the train, went to the immigration department and said, I want to build a lumber mill, they said, go to Prince George, which I did. Came off the bus there after 12 hours with my suitcase, 3 books, 2 sets of clothes, and I counted my money that I had with me at least 3 times. I had $25.47. That's what I had in my pocket. Couldn't speak language, didn't know soul, didn't have a job. But what I did have is attitude. I've always been positive. And even still today, I avoid, don't come close to me if it is negative. Passion, whatever I do, I give it 125%. Work ethic, I work harder than anybody. Even still today, I usually get up at 5:30 in the morning. I always make my bed, and I always think I'm late. And so, and that's what I still do today.
I'm curious if, you know, you're talking about the level of passion you have, the attitude that you have, the work ethic you have, the work ethic that you have, but it all sort of hinges on what I perceive to be a really incredible sense of personal agency. Like there's a view that you have that you can make things happen, that you can accomplish things. There are a lot of people that go through traumatic events, and the interpretation of that event is learned helplessness. I can't do anything. It's not worth me putting any effort out. And I'm just wondering from your vantage point, what was there an experience you had? How did you do 7th grade 3 times and leave that thinking, I have the intellectual heft to be successful, right? Most people would have given up. And I'm wondering, why do you think you didn't?
I knew I could do just as well as the others. And the amazing part about me was I was very good at numbers. And then I was a very, very good writer, not a reader. And then I had challenges with attention. And so it was not until here, I was already in Canada. I came here in 1965. And it took me 32 years. Already I was successful. Everybody said, oh, you're so successful and blah, blah, blah. I didn't feel that way until I went into a bookstore here in Canada, January 1997. And the reason that I know so well the date is because the book is in my studio. I still have the actual book that I picked up. Driven to Distraction was the title, by Dr. Halliwell. And so, and I picked up the book. I looked at the book and I started looking at it and more and more. And it was about ADHD and dyslexia. And I said, oh my God, that's me. And I bought the book and I wrote, if I had the book in my studio, I would show you the book. I would open to the first page, and in Dutch, I wrote in Dutch because I was ashamed of it, because it implied a mental deficiency of some description or another. And so I wrote in Dutch, now I finally know who I am.
Wow.
And it was January 1997. That changed my life.
Yeah.
Going back to just how much you've been able to accomplish, do you view it as a consequence of your level of motivation, or do you view it as a consequence of your level of discipline? Because I've been told by the doctor that I need to get it together in the gym a lot, but I don't think I get it together the way you get it together. So what's the mechanism of action for you?
Once I feel something, obviously I recognize that if say Rob and David just step out from the camera here and we'll walk together into my office, and you will look at my office, you will say, oh my God, how can you find anything? But on the other hand, that whatever I do and I like and care about, I'm extremely determined. I will not give up. Same as going to the gym. I've been doing that now since 2009, when I recovered nearly for 19 years, I think. I'm very, very determined.
Yeah. Well, and just knowing a bit about you, reading up about you prior to our conversation today, and listening to some more of your story here, I think a word that comes to mind for me, in addition to that determination, is resilience. And kind of overcoming the obstacles. Even though you're very driven, you had a lot of obstacles to overcome.
Yes.
And I think, Dave and I, in the work that we do working with leaders, we oftentimes hear stories of resilience, overcoming obstacles, and those being key components of a leader's brand, the stories that they tell themselves. And it sounds like that was the case for you as well. Do you view that resilience as a big component of your success as well?
No question about it, Rob.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it sounds like, as you're talking about that, is that you're taking these things that have been difficult for you and you're using them as kind of part of your narrative or part of your worldview and benefiting from them, right? Like some people get a diagnosis of ADHD and they think, oh, well, I'm going to be less effective in corporate America. Whereas you got the diagnosis and you think, this is my superpower, right? There's a style of using these things, like the resilience sort of comes out in action from you.
Yeah.
And the other part about it, David, is that I believe I have an obligation to share it with others
Mm.
because of what I experienced with it, all the way from all the challenges in grade 3 and failing there in grade 7 3 times. And it was kind of funny because I usually mention that in presentations that I do, and I love to do now presentation. I'm in demand, so so some people ask me and they say, do you still feel bad about it that you failed grade 7 3 times? I say, I sure do. Every day I think about it, in tongue in cheek somewhat, but that failing grade 7 3 times, I should have left earlier.
So, John, I know we're about out of time here, but I wanted to just ask one final question for you. You've talked a lot about overcoming challenges, and in particular, you talked about neurodivergence, so ADHD. I think dyslexia, I've seen you mention before. Can you give a few? I think the listeners would appreciate. Are there tips that you've found helpful for you as far as how you overcome those kinds of things? Like, how do you make ADHD a superpower versus a challenge that's insurmountable?
It took me many, 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 many years of saying, who am I? I had this energy and I was successful, but I challenged. Who am I was a challenge. And it was not until I was 57 years old, I picked up that book in the store from Dr. Halliwell, Driven to Distraction. And I said, oh my God, that's me. And so I would hope, and that's why I'm so public about it, that if we have young people in particular that have challenges with attention difficulty and all those other things relating to ADHD and subsequently dyslexia potentially, that the sooner we recognize them, make them feel that this is not a liability. They are simply different, but they will have qualities that are uniquely different from others. And most, I would say with confidence, that most people that became successful are ADHD or dyslexia or both. And so therefore, the other part that is important to me, to make presentations to colleges, universities, or wherever the platform can be, and for me to do presentations. The younger they are, the sooner they know that they are different, but they are unique as to who they are. It's not a liability. And then focus on what can we do to create things interesting for them, that then they can unlock this passion that I have. If they things that I like to do, like numbers and like writing, I was very, very good at. But with all due respect to the people that trained me and the people that were teachers at that time, less so now, but even still, lots of work to be done. The sooner we recognize as parents, and the sooner we give them confidence that they are as successful as all the others, but somewhat different, and then focus on what can we do to unlock that and give them confidence. Because at the end of the day, what I find a lot of times, if I give presentations, which I do a lot, to young people in particular, they are a lot of times male and female, too preoccupied, or this doesn't look good and that doesn't look good and I'm not dressing well, male and female, and all the other things. I say to them, and being different, and may that include ADHD or dyslexia or both or whatever neurodiversities that may be, that there is only one of you on this earth and you are uniquely special. And so, and always remember that. And if you're slightly different from the others, then we work with that. But there is only one of you on this earth. And so to give that confidence, I believe, is critically important for us.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's great. John, thank you very much for giving us time today. I know you're very busy, but I really appreciate the call.
Really appreciate it, John.
I enjoyed it, guys.